topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good morning, listeners. It's Tuesday, and of course, I love to be with y'all. So I want to share a kindness story. It's a beautiful kindness story. So one of my neighbors, she grows butterflies. And when I talk about grows butterflies, y'all might be thinking, how do you do that? She will plant milkweeds, and I'm going to invite you to do that. We are in that time, especially in the US. Plant local milkweeds in your front yard, in your backyard, because monarchs are dying out. These are special butterflies, and they're very helpful for pollination and for keeping our crops, and it's a cross-pollinator and for a lot of different things. And of course, they're beautiful themselves. So it's worth preserving those species. So what she does is she spends a lot of time, having the butterfly nets and taking the caterpillars. And I want to give a shout out to Robin. And then she really spends a lot of time taking care of them. So there are people out there who are doing it. So what we could do is at least grow some milkweeds, which is local to your region, and help our monarchs grow. So for those of you who have got our books, Expert to Influencer, Entrepreneur Garden, and the others, we thank you because you are helping us spread the message. And for those who have not got it, think about it and get those, because those books will help you. And also want to share that the partial profits from the books do go to kiva.org. So we are helping each other out and helping the entrepreneurs too. Let's bring in our guest, Teresa. She is a very powerful leader, and you're going to enjoy the show today. Welcome, Teresa.
Hi, Divya. Thank you very much for this. It's a real pleasure to be here. I've been following your work, and I truly admire the way you lead these conversations. So thank you for creating this space and for inviting me. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that kind words, and see, the kindness keeps on going. So Teresa, do you recall a moment or a person from your childhood who left a positive mark on you?
Yes. When you ask that, a few come to my mind, but there's one that really stands out. I remember a philosophy teacher I had in school, and he was deeply human, someone who genuinely cared about his students, and I had always done well academically, but in one particular test, I got a much lower grade than usual, and it really threw me off. But then when he returned the test, he didn't give just a grade. He gave me a perspective. He said something that stayed in my life forever. He said that only those who fight can win. And that sentence made a deep impression on me, because he reminded me, and he reminds everybody that a single moment, especially one that we fall short, doesn't define who we are. And that message was so powerful, especially coming at a time when I felt disappointed with myself.
Mm,
A reminder that we're allowed to fail, to stumble, to have moments that things don't go our way, but it was truly important, and it was very important for me to know this, because we choose how to respond, and we choose how we will learn and how we will move forward. And he made clear that resilience is not about it. It's not about never failing. It's about how we raise, and that mindset stayed in my life forever. And even in the worst moments, this is the thing that I have always in my mind. And of course, I can't speak about the positive influence without mentioning my parents, because for me, family has always been a fundamental pillar in my life. The education we receive, myself and my sister and my brother at home, shapes who we become. It gives us our values, our resilience, and our drive. I consider that I'm incredibly lucky to have parents who only invested in our education, but taught us to see beyond our surroundings. And my mother, she's a warrior. She was always present. She was a teacher. She doesn't teach anymore, but she was a teacher, and she was always involved. And she taught us that nothing is impossible if we're willing to work for it. And she showed us how to support one another and to stay committed no matter what. And it was incredible. And my father, he's still a neurosurgeon, and he's still working. And he showed me what resilience truly looks like, how facing difficulties with strength and determination eventually brings reward. And he always reminded us that whatever we do, we must do it well. We must give our best. And those lessons from my teacher and from my parents have never left me. They shaped who I am, and they still guide me and guide the way I lead, and the way I face difficult moments. So sometimes when I'm feeling discouraged, my mother reminds me, "Come on, you know it. Only those who can win." And it's her way of saying there's no time for self-doubt. We keep moving, we fight, and we give everything we've got. So
that's beautiful. And you know what you shared was it just kind of touched me, because I've had moments in my career where, like, you get the papers back and there's never a comment. And your teacher just kind of sharing that one thing and that lasting with you for the rest of your life. It shows leadership, your parents' leadership. And so many people have this idea about that, you have to have a title, you gotta be in the C-suite, or you gotta be at the director, manager level position to be the leader. And here's such a beautiful examples that you can be leader anywhere.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? What do you think?
Yes,
Like,
I agree. It's true. You can be leader in any position, in any profession you have. You can inspire others anywhere. You just have to be human. You just have to feel the pains of the others, to understand their positions and their things. So I agree.
absolutely. And I really like what you're sharing, is that you can be a leader anywhere. You just have to be human. That is so profound. And so, as you grew up, what were your interests, and, like, what did you want to become?
Well, that's a nice question. I wouldn't say I had one single interest I pursue, or or that I was focused in. But I've always been someone who's who was deeply curious and emotionally connected to the world around me. And I think that shaped a lot who I am today. I've always had a strong passion for arts, especially cinema and theater. And
Mm-hmm.
for a time, I even seriously considered studying theater. But in Portugal back then, that path wasn't really encouraged, and it was seen too uncertain or difficult. So I ended up letting go that dream. But still, cinema remained a huge part of my life. I remember during school holidays, I'd watch film after film. It was absolutely fascinating. And I remember that I used to put the alarm at the middle of the night to see the Oscars events. So for many years, I had the tradition of going to the movies every Friday with my father, and it was our special ritual. We don't do it as often these days, but it's something that we should bring back. And I also love traveling and discover places, meeting people, creating unforgettable memories, and especially now with my kids, I try to bring that sense of exploration and joy into our time together. Um, I also played piano for many years. I had a teacher, a strict one, who would actually tap us on the fingers with a sharp stick when we made mistakes.
Oh,
But despite that, it was tough. But despite that, I loved playing. And there's something about music that helps us focus, express, and disconnect at all. So this was one thing that I love to do. And another thing that always been part of me and is the desire to help others. I've always
mm,
enjoyed supporting people in any way I could. And even when I was young, I looked for ways to get involved in volunteering. And later in my life, I had the chance to support a group of incredible, talented young athletes who practice acrobatic gymnastics. And these kids were amazing. They were regularly selected to represent Portugal at European or World Championships. But they came from unprivileged backgrounds and couldn't afford to travel. So I
mhm.
dedicated a big part of my time helping them, raising funds. And it became one of the most rewarding things I ever done, because with the support of several companies, and we had one in Portugal, the main producer of coffee, that gave the official training suits for them, and we were able to get the support they needed. So honestly, I achieved more than I ever imagined, and it was beautiful phase. It was a beautiful phase, and full of and joy, because it reminded me that when we come together to for a cause, amazing things can happen. So it's amazing. Well,
Oh, that is powerful. And there is so much power in working with youth because, they're full of aspiration. And it's almost like, when they're young, they're like blank canvas where we can influence them, we can help them become the leaders. And I can
mm,
completely relate to that because I have worked with underserved youth and done robotics and done the mentorship. And it's just so powerful. They get so energized, and that energy and like going for it kind of even feel energizes us as well. So, how did you get started into your professional journey?
well, I studied economics.
Mhm.
I've always been curious about how systems work, how decisions are made, how resources were allocated, and how these impact people's lives. So for me, economics felt like the right foundation for that kind of thinking. It was rigorous but incredibly enriching, and it gave me a big framework that I still use today, in everything I do. And then at a certain point, I found myself naturally drawn to finance. I began choosing financial subjects whenever I could, and completed several areas and courses in the management degree related with finance. I found those subjects more challenging, more technical, and I enjoyed a lot. So all my professional journey was more dedicated to this area. I pursued a postgraduate degree in finance also, which allowed me to get a deeper into financial analysis, markets, corporate finance, mergers and acquisitions, that I then start working. But at the same time, I tried to have an overview on other areas, not only financing. And I went to Kellogg to do a business marketing strategy course. Because after spending so many years focused on finance, I felt I need to understand other areas of business, and especially these commercial and strategic dimensions. So I shift to completely the area of interest. I have been doing that for during my life, and because then later in my life I was appointed a director for promotion and for protection and promotion of competition at the National Land Transport Regulator. And then I had to enroll on a postgraduate in competition and regulation, a completely different area in the law university. So it was a completely different mindset. But I also accept this challenge, and I went to this. And then I have done several courses focused on topics that nowadays I believe will shape the future of business, particularly sustainability and leadership. And I completed a program in Cambridge University about business management, business sustainability management, and one in Harvard about leadership principles. And these are subjects I find fascinating and also essential, because I think that I want to understand how environmental, social, and government issues, the now famous ESG framework, can influence how companies operate. And today we are seeing just how urgent is this shift has to become. For example, in Europe, there's a whole set of regulations and reporting obligations that companies need to comply with. So business are being forced to adapt quickly, and it's important to be aware of these trends and the things. So I'm a firm believer that we need to continue always learning, and it's a lifelong learning, our journey. And I always try to keep evolving as the world and leadership changes. And but if in terms of my career, if I had to sum up my professional journey in one sentence, I would say I'm someone who thrives on building, transforming, and growing businesses, and especially when the challenge is complex and the impact is meaningful. Because in my life, I had done so many different things and challenged things. And just to be brief, I started my career in consultancy, but very early I found my passion in corporate finance and business development and mergers and acquisitions, that I used to say M&A. I spent several years at the biggest player in TV, mobile, and internet in Portugal. And this player had several operations in Brazil, Africa, Asia. So I lead the international M&A business and the business development process across Africa and Asia. I participated in several transactions. One that when we sold the biggest player, we had a joint venture with a Spanish operator, and we sold the biggest player of mobile phone in Brazil. And I was doing that transaction. It was very, very interesting. Or the sale of a stake of a company that we had in Macau. So all these were excellent things that I've done in this M&A and corporate finance and sale, mergers and acquisitions area. And it was a time where I truly learned how to think strategically and act decisively, because I was negotiating the concession contract with Timor Telecom and with the government. We had a company in Timor, and we had to negotiate the contract with with the government. So it was all these are unique experiences that I have. And later on, I moved to the public sector, and I joined the Portuguese Transport Authority regulator, where I stay there for a while, going through all the area of land transport and competition. And here it was very funny because we coordinated a group of the rail with all the rail entities. And I had a unique experience here, because this group called IRG Rail has all
So
the rail. Yes.
yeah, no, so sounds like you have had a lot of different experiences, which kind of makes a
Yeah.
very wholesome experience. So you mentioned about corporate finances and merger and acquisitions. So usually in corporate finance, it's more of a men's world in the sense like there are more men than women. Did you experience that?
Well, yes, this is a man's world completely. I used to be in rooms to negotiate the contracts, and there was only men on the table to negotiate. And this it's a very men's world because it's a very tough world. You have to work a lot. You have to work very, very much to comply with all the informations, with all the legal things that you need for the transactions. It's a very demanding business and a very demanding world. And we have to work very, very, very hard, but it's a man's world completely, completely. Yeah.
And a lot of women are stepping into fintech area. Like I've got few clients and they're experiencing the same thing. So what are the few tips that you would give them that not only they can step into it, but they can thrive in the financial or the corporate financial area?
Well, this area is very, very specific, and we have to overcome and to deal with bias and stereotypes. And to overcome these, we have to build confidence in our abilities, and we have to demonstrate our value through results. Continuously invest in our in our personal and professional growth, and seek environments that actively value diversity and inclusion, because nowadays this is a very a thing that people are thinking about, diversity, inclusion. So it's important to try to actively try to look for these environments. Then there's a limited access to leadership positions in this area to women. And once again, I think that we need to develop a strong professional network and seek mentorship opportunities. And this is very important. We have to be proactive in showcasing our achievements. We have to express our ambitions very clearly, and we have to support other women to collectively advance opportunities for leadership roles. And this is very important, support each other. I think that men have this mindset. We women don't have this mindset, but we need to start create this mindset. It's important that we work together. And then there's the problem of the work-life balance challenges. And I think that we need to set boundaries and openly communicate our needs. And there's no problem. I used to say that I was promoted when I had my second son. I was in a leave, and the board member of the company I was working on, he called me and said, "Can you come here?" And he said, "I will go to promote you." And I was not at work, but it was because of all the work that I have done for the last years. And so there's no problem if we talk and if we communicate our needs. I think they will understand and they will be so. Today we have so many technology and resources to manage responsibilities in different ways. So it's important that we can set that. And and also it's important to have a balanced life, because when I didn't tell, but I was also in SAT after all these M&A areas and things. I went to the aviation also, and I was in SATO with first as CFO, then as CEO. And when I decided to leave, I was CEO of SAT, and I decided to leave more or less 1 year ago. It was because I realized the project I had set out to accomplish had reached its natural conclusion. And throughout my career, I have always thought professionally for the best interests of the company and that I lead. So I couldn't accept taking paths that I believe weren't aligned with integrity and the highest standards. And recognizing that my contribution had reached its endpoint was crucial for me. So this is also important because this pause after leaving SATA turned out to be extremely valuable, as it allowed me to understand how essential is, for example, to reinvest in myself mentally and physically, to effectively manage this pressure that we are always facing. And I learned that regular physical exercise is a key building to resilience and to our mind, and it's important. And I also discovered the critical importance of healthy nutrition in maintaining optimal health. So I discovered that all these things are extremely important, and in our life we used to forget about all this.
Yeah, no, definitely. Having the holistic approach is very, very helpful, and that keeps us going. And as you mentioned, keep our resilience going deeper. And as you build your resilience, then you're able to increase your capacity and capabilities. So share with our audience, what were 2 to 3 issues you faced on your way to becoming a CEO, and then 2 to 3 issues while you were a CEO? And how did you
So,
overcome?
issues I faced on becoming a CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, the being a CEO is not just try to get profitability on the business, or being a CEO is to care about people, and this is the most relevant thing I think that I needed to realize when I became a CEO. I already had this notion, but as a CFO, I was focused on numbers. I was focused on understanding all the company and all the areas of the company. But being a CEO was completely different. I think that the most important thing is to help people and to manage with truth and with honesty. And the truth is not always easy, because especially when we are living through transformation, this can be incredible demanding times, and it's a very lonely path. It's a very lonely path. There are moments of doubt, of exhaustion, of pressure, and that few people see this. And as leaders, we often carry the weight of knowing that many are depending on us, and that sense of responsibility is what gives us strength to continue fight and keep us motivated. And what kept me motivated, especially during this difficult transformation, because I was CFO, I was CEO during a very difficult period in a complicated company that was dealing with financial problems, with operational problems, and we were restructuring all the company. So, and especially during this difficult transformation, what motivates me is the belief that I'm doing something meaningful. I don't see my work just as managing numbers or solving operational problems as CEO. It is an opportunity to create something different, something better, something that positively impacts people's life. And at SATA, where I was the CEO, I had around 2,000 people depending on me. And that's not just a number. That were 2,000 families, 2,000 personal stories, 2,000 reasons to do my absolute best. So I couldn't let them down. And I think that what keeps us as going is the impact that we can cause. I truly believe in building something better, not just fixing problems, but leaving a legacy that transform and a stronger a company to be stronger and more sustainable than what was when before we come. So I believe in people's potential. I think that watching others grow through the process, becoming more confident and empowered, that's deeply motivating, and that's the thing that we the CEOs need to look for. And I think that many leaders stay motivated not just for themselves, but because they can't afford to fail. And this was also the thing that I had in my mind. It's not for our own ego, but for the people that we lead, the teams that believe in us, and the future they are working to build together. So, well, these were the things that I don't know if I just mixed everything, but
It's all good.
As a CEO, was this my focus and my.
Yeah, you mentioned one of the key points that I believe in and that resonates with me is people. Because when your people are happy, when people in your company are feeling fulfilled, they're going to be productive. The performance is going to be high and profitability will follow itself.
Yes.
So you're absolutely spot on that. And so many companies don't recognize that. So tell us, did you have any difficulty as you transition from chief finance officer to CEO? Because as you mentioned before, it was more about the numbers and now it was about the people.
Well, the big challenge was to empower the workers and so that they feel valued. One thing I strongly believe is that empowerment isn't just about giving someone more responsibility. It's about giving them a challenge, a purpose, the tools to grow. And when people feel trusted and valued, they go further. They give more, as we were speaking, more of themselves because they feel part of something meaningful. And when I became CEO at SATA, I saw that even during the most difficult phases of the restructuring, we didn't stop investing in people, and that was my biggest aim: invest in people, even when budgets were tight and career promotion weren't immediately available. We found other ways to empower our teams, offering training, design personal development plans, encourage internal mobility, gave people the chance to step in new roles and departments, and broaden their experience. And for me, empowerment is also about exposure. It's about giving people the opportunity to see how other parts of the company work, to understand different realities, and to stretch themselves beyond their usual responsibilities. And that's how confidence grow, and not just for titles. And so I think that we have a duty to create those opportunities for people. And this was my biggest challenge as CEO, to help people grow, even when external conditions are difficult, if we wait for the perfect moment to invest in our teams, we'll miss that chance
Right.
to transform the
It may never
organization.
come. Yeah.
Yes, it may never come. I think that Sato was with big financial problems, but one thing that I said was I just launched 2 initiatives that for me were extremely important. One of them was 12 training sessions, and during a year all the workers would have access to several training sessions of several subjects. And for me, that was very important because I think that they needed to understand everything, since the specific thing of aviation, but also what is an interest rate, what is the inflation, things that cause them some problems in their daily life. So I launched this initiative. Or for example, I also recognized the importance of mental health, and we introduced an employee well-being program that included mental health consultations. And this was a success because if some workers didn't like and didn't want, others used a lot and felt good, and thought that they were being we were caring about them, and we were trying to them to feel better. And so we tried to promote several things, and I think this is very important. People feel valued in the company.
Yeah.
And this is
And
the biggest challenge.
yeah, no, this is very powerful because you're not boxing people. And a lot of people, and several of my clients will tell me that they don't like, they're so good at something that they're doing that their leaders will box them in and not let them grow. So the growth is something
Yeah.
most people are looking for, and allowing them to grow mentally, supporting them, their mental well-being while they're growing is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So as we get close to the end of our show, what's next for you? And what message would you like to share with our audience?
So what's next for me? I would say that over the next years, my vision, both personally and professionally, is deeply to connect to growth and impact. On a personal level, I want to continue evolving as human being. I believe growth doesn't stop with experience. It comes from reflection, learning, and staying open to new challenges and perspectives. And professionally, my goal is to grow my strategic, financial, and governance consulting practice that I just started. I want to build a solid platform where I can support entrepreneurs, business leaders, and organizations in navigating in complex environments, helping them to define strategies, strengthen their financial structures, and implement governance models that ensure sustainable success. So I truly aim to become a reference in this space, someone recognized not only for technical expertise, but also for trust, for consistency, clarity. So I want to be the person that companies call when they need to make a critical decision, or when they need guidance to take strategic vision with execution. So at the core of everything is a strong commitment to values, and I want to continue leading by example and maintaining ethical practices in all my interactions. Integrity, transparency, and a high ethical standard for me are not negotiable. So these are the foundations of real lasting success, both in business and in my personal life.
Very powerful. And I'm sure you'll be a great partner for anyone. Your heart is in the right place, and you would be able to guide them in a really beautiful way, be their partner, and support them to their success. So if our audience wanted to connect with you, what's the best way to connect?
Well, I'll be very happy to connect with anyone from the audience. The best way to reach me right now is through my email. So I'll try to translate it because it's Portuguese, it's complicated, but I'll try to. My email is teresa.gonçalves at tmpg/consulting.com. And this is the email of my company, the email of the company that I created, or I'm available in the LinkedIn also, Teresa Mafalda Gonçalves. I also have an Instagram account. Unfortunately, my website is under development, so for now it's just LinkedIn, email, and Instagram. But I'd love to hear from anyone who wants to connect with this, and that I can help. Of course, I'm very
Of
happy
course,
to.
yeah. And I'm sure that they'll be in good hands.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us and giving us your wisdom and sharing from heart. Any last thoughts you'd like to share?
I want to share the last thought that I usually share, because it's very it means a lot to me. So I want to share this thought that, in life, things does not always give us what we want, or it's always what we would prefer, but we have to accept this reality. We must always seek something that makes us smile. And I never stopped dreaming about what I believed in. And even when doors closed, even when it seemed completely impossible, believing was always my greatest strength. And never giving up in face of difficulties was my driving force. And bringing others along with me was what I always did best. And at the heart of everything is people, and people are the most important gift in life we have. So I have a say that Nelson Mandela used to say that I like a lot, and I would like to say here that is a winner is a dreamer who never gives up, and this is my motto: never give up on anything or anyone. So, and it's important that we remember that true leadership means empowering others as much as yourself. Your impact is your legacy. So, this is the last message.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. A dreamer is a winner who never gives up. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you, listeners, for joining us, because without you, the show would not be possible. Reach out to us, let us know how we can support you, which experts to bring in, what topics to have, as you always do. So I really appreciate you always reaching out to me. Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you, Juan, for making the show technically possible. So be well and take care until next time.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who have experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week.